Good afternoon, CPAC. Are you ready to tear this tax code up by its roots? I'm Kevin Brady. I'm chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. It's an incredible honor to be with you here today. First, I want to thank you for bringing us Republican President Donald Trump and a unified Republican Congress this year. And as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, we are all in with our new president on his top priorities: repealing Obamacare and fixing our broken tax code. We are already moving forward on repealing Obamacare and delivering solutions for real Americans that lower costs, that expand choices, return control to them, and get government out of the examining room. And on tax reform, which I'm going to talk about for a second here, we are pushing full steam ahead with bold solutions, once-in-a-generation solutions to get America moving again. During the Obama years, we know what happened. Young people couldn't find jobs. Wages stayed stagnant for a decade. Every week, it seemed like we watched our American jobs and our American companies moving overseas. That's what you get after 8 years of a president who says and believes if you've got a business, you didn't build it. We know differently. As conservatives, we know differently, and we believe you did build that business, and we might want more Americans, more young American men and women to build their American dream. So today, with President Trump in the office, we really have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver a simpler, fair tax code that Americans like you deserve. This year, working with President Trump, we'll deliver a tax code built on conservative principles, a tax code not designed to wring money from you. We already have that one. A tax code built for growth, built for the growth of jobs and wages in the U.S. economy. So what does a built for growth tax code look like? Well, the House has a plan, a Republican blueprint to get us there, and it starts with simple fairness for all Americans. In our blueprint, we drain the swamp by eliminating, yes we do, by eliminating special interest provisions, lobbyist loopholes, handouts and bailouts. We lower rates across the board so you can keep more of what you earn. And we flatten out the tax code and lower the tax brackets for Americans. Yeah. It's exciting, and under our blueprint, the tax code will be so fair and so simple, 9 out of 10 Americans will be able to file them on a postcard-style system like you see behind me. It's simple, it's fair, and of course it includes the things that families count on. Help with your owning a home and raising your children, saving for college, and best of all, donating to your church or your charity and the cause that you believe in. And while we're on the subject of churches, places of worship across America need to be free to practice their faith without worrying about Washington or the IRS targeting their religious freedom. So in our tax reform, Republican tax reform, we're going to repeal the damaging effects of the Johnson Amendment once and for all. One thing we all know, America needs to be competitive again because we're not. And we have to lower the taxes. We have to take less as a government from families and businesses. This means in our tax reform plan, Washington will take less from local job creators so they can invest more in their business, in the workers, in their future. So we propose the lowest tax rates on business in modern history for all businesses of all sizes. We take historic action, the greatest step in history to unleash business investment to grow our local communities, and we redesign that big, huge international tax system so that American businesses and workers can compete anywhere in the world and win, especially here at home. That is so important because today our American workers, our farmers, our businesses, they're competing with one hand behind their back. And so to make sure they can compete and win, we are going to end the tax on Made in America. Today, this Made in America tax puts our businesses and workers, our products, at a huge tax disadvantage in America and around the globe. And it gives real tax incentives. It encourages our companies here to move their jobs and their manufacturing and their research overseas. And here's why. Today, the way we tax all American products sold here in the U.S. But foreign products sold in the U.S., zero tax rate. This means our tax code that we voluntarily have essentially provides tax breaks for foreign products over Made in America products. And this means you have tax breaks for products from Mexico and China and around the world, and they get tax breaks over our American-made products. But boy, it doesn't stop there. We tax our Made in America products around the world, and our competitors don't. So today, our products lose here at home and they lose abroad. None of our foreign competitors taxes this way. They all, what they call, border adjust their taxes. And on this map behind me, you can see all of our global competitors in blue. They all take their taxes off their products coming to America, and they slap taxes on our products going into their country. And then in red, you'll see a few of us that don't do either, that lose here and lose abroad. And as you can tell, it's America and a few sterling economies, like Cuba and North Korea and Iran. American workers are just getting the shaft. Well, not anymore. Under our plan, all products sold in America will be taxed equally at a low, equal business rate, regardless of where they're made. And if your American-made product is sold around the world, we're no longer taxing them. You're going to be able to compete on a level playing field. And if anyone knows how to compete and win, it's President Donald Trump. Yeah. And as he said yesterday, President Trump said yesterday, meeting with American manufacturers was going to happen. His company is going to come back here, they're going to build their factories, and they're going to create a lot of jobs. I know that so many of you get this as well. People like Seton Motley, who in Red State recently called this a massive win-win for we the people. And then our final reform, after we make the code so fair and simple most families can file on a postcard, after we make our code competitive for our businesses, our third reform, we bust up the IRS. We bust it up. A simpler, fair tax code demands a simpler, fair tax collector, and that's why this agency that has the power to destroy families and businesses will not have that power going forward. We're going to break them up and make them focus on you, the taxpayer. But to do all this, let me just end. We need you. If we leave this to Washington, it'll never happen. We have to have we the people behind us. We need you to be involved, to stay vocal, to stay active, and tell Congress, get this done. This is the year. This is not our tax code, America. It's yours. You deserve a final say. Let's get it done. God bless you.
Mr. Chairman, wonderful remarks. So the conversation at hand is taxation. And the first question is, on behalf of as the top tax person in the Congress on the Republican side, or on any side at this point in time, are you prepared to say that taxation is a moral issue, the confiscation of wealth of any kind from the American people, something that should be considered in a moral lens?
No, it really should be. These are your hours. These are your work. This is your innovation, creativity. This is the value you bring to our economy. And you ought not have that hard work and those taxes confiscated by our government. But beyond what it takes to do well, what is limited in the Constitution. And the reason we went with the tax code so fair and so simple, 9 out of 10 people can file on a postcard, is we believe Americans deserve a tax code that fair, that small, that limited. And that's what's driving that, along with the tax code built for growth, drives our proposal.
Okay, so it seems like the new tax plan involves two key components. One is the postcard, which I think all of us would be thrilled if that was the way we had to file our taxes. I think you're going to have a great consensus on that. The one where the part of it that you're not going to have quite as much of a consensus is the border adjustment tax, the BAT. This is something that's more controversial, and I wanted to ask you about the fact that according to a U.S. Census report, 97% of importers are small business. Are you concerned that there could be job losses that hurt small businesses due to this tax?
No, I don't, because the way we are designing this tax and phasing in it to address those issues. But let me tell you the principle here. The principle here is, should all businesses play by the same rules? Should all products be taxed exactly the same in America? Because today, our tax code gives special tax breaks to foreign products over made in America. And so we say that competition is best for consumers when everyone's taxed the same. And by lifting, as our competitors does, if we lift the tax on our American-made products around the world, we can compete on a level playing field overseas. That grows jobs, and more importantly, that brings jobs in manufacturing back to America, something we haven't seen in a long, long time.
Well, why are you proposing this as opposed to, let's say, a tariff? What are the differences, and how reasonable is it that we can expect this version of it?
Yeah, great question. So tariffs are all about trade policy and tend to match what our competitors do. Our tax policy, unfortunately, doesn't. You know, we give a huge advantage to China and Mexico, Canada, and Europe today. And so what we're proposing is to no longer just sit idly by and watch our jobs and our plants move overseas. So by meeting our competitors straight on, by taxing all products equally in America, we know not only does it grow jobs in America, not only does it stop businesses from moving overseas, it restores America as the best place on the planet to create that new job or build that new manufacturing plant or come up with that medical breakthrough. So trade issues and trade policy is sort of here. Tax policy and going straight ahead on our competitors, we think is critically important.
So with the postcard approach and cutting the corporate tax rate, it looks like you're going to be cutting taxes for many Americans, many businesses. That's a very strong play. If you have the BAT, it'll be raising taxes in a certain way as well. According to reports, it's not going to be as much of a hike as the decrease in taxes from the other parts of the plan. But that said, why not just go for cuts right now?
It's not enough to stay competitive. And if we just do rate cuts and we don't redesign our tax code so that we can take our competitors head on, unfortunately, you'll still keep in place the current break for foreign products over made in USA products. We don't think that's fair or good policy. And also, you'll keep in place all the reasons for companies to keep moving overseas and sell back in. So we want to level the playing field here in America, level it across the world, and restore us, bring jobs in manufacturing back to the U.S. And I'm convinced that message is why President Trump is now our president.
It's difficult to talk about taxes without talking about debt and deficit. The debt's at a record rate. We're continuing to take in record levels of revenue right now. It still seems to be uncontrollable. Is this a priority for Congress?
It has to be. I'm convinced spending cuts get us halfway back to a balanced budget or more. We need a stronger economy to finish the job and start paying down the debt. So we go all in for growth here, but we do it in a way that it balances within the budget over time. So we know we'll lose some revenues in those early years, but with strong growth, we'll make it back and break even. We think, House Republicans believe, this is the way we both grow the economy and tackle our debt as well.
Chairman, as editor-in-chief of Breitbart News, my favorite topic is media bias and the fake news media. And I think one issue that we have in this country right now is that we have half of the population not paying any federal taxes. But if you were to raise the taxes on those people by even 1%, the headline at the fake news Washington Post or CNN or New York Times will be Republicans raise taxes on 50% of Americans. How do you deal with a media environment the way it is now?
It is a challenge. And to your point, before we even unveiled this blueprint, we had many Democrats accusing us of raising taxes on the middle class before we'd even announced it. So we expect that type of attack on us. But also, it won't stop there, Alex, either. You have all these special interests who are going to attack and attack and attack to keep their special tax break because we're proposing to eliminate a lot of the special interest provisions for some so we can lower the rates for everybody. Middle-class Americans, our small businesses and local businesses. So we can't keep all those breaks and lower the rates. That's going to get pushed back as well. So we expect it sort of from all sides.
Final question. I hope it's a short one. What happens to the death tax?
For the first time since the death tax was created in 1916, House Republicans proposed to permanently kill the death tax.
That's a great note to go out on. Thank you, Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate it. Thank you.